front. Yeah, might end with me and my brother.
Welcome, councillors, staff and gallery. You'll notice there's a little gurgle in my voice box. That's the only remainders of a weekend with needles and COVIDs and injections and flu injections. I'd just like to acknowledge country. We meet here in the spirit of respect and cooperation and collaboration. We pay tribute to those who have come before us as we seek to grow our understanding, our connection, our knowledge and our heritage and culture. We pay respect to the traditional custodians of these lands and European settlers whose customs and traditions have been passed down through 6 generations. Councillor Schilling, on behalf of Council, I pass on our condolences with the passing of your mother. We'll move to item 2.1.1, and that is the council meeting minutes held on the 22nd of April 2026 at 5:30, and a special council meeting held on Wednesday the 13th of May 2026 at 5:30. Will someone move those minutes for me? Councillor Evans and seconded Councillor Hearn. All in favour? Carried. Matters arising, there's one item there just providing an update to members in regard to the Toollunga Park consultation. There is no petitions. I might add, I haven't got any apologies, but I see we've got a couple of vacant seats. They might arrive in a little while. There's no deputations. 3.3.1 is a notice of motion. I understand, Councillor Priest, you wish to withdraw that notice of motion, is that correct? Okay, thank you. Any reason or you... No, okay, that's fine. Councillor Angus?
Mayor, I wonder if you would accept a motion from the floor regarding the legal advice that was furnished, the confidential legal advice.
Yeah, I think I will, as the agenda is made available to the public in advance. So I think for the community, it probably would be of merit to have that released to the public. That probably not to debate the notice of motion, which has been withdrawn, but really just to bring that out into the public as it's been referred to. Yeah, I'll accept that motion.
Well, I would move that the...
Moved Councillor Angus.
I'll leave the meeting if that's going to be the case.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Priest.
I'll move that the legal advice obtained on this item be taken out of confidence and made public.
The door has to stay open, please. Seconded, Councillor De Vries. Either one wish to speak?
No, thanks.
No.
Well,
Just as a piece of trivia, we used to have elections in May, and so this is actually, I think, I've now just completed 23 years as of tonight. So that's, and the relevance of that is that this was actually quite surprising. I thought I'd got past the point of being surprised by an agenda item, but this one certainly did. I've spoken to the CEO, obviously, to discuss the advice in the that was given by the lawyers, and I think that given that this is out there in the community, and when I read this, it almost felt like this motion suggested that this was actually a recommendation of the staff in regard to Section 39, and saying, in effect, that what Councillor Priest was requesting was in alignment with Section 39. But when I actually read the information that we're now seeking to release, and then spoke to the CEO, I found that, in fact, the opposite was in fact the case, and that this is in fact not a recommendation of the staff, but in fact simply a paraphrasing of the request of Councillor Priest. And I was wondering, Your Worship, if it would be possible for the CEO to give a bit of a clarification on what in fact this motion would have meant, because as I understand it, it would have been ultimately ultra vires.
Yeah, I'm just conscious of the fact we probably can't debate the notice of motion and the context of it, other than that we're just withdrawing this
Yeah.
for public. So I'll be led by the CEO as to whether that's a
Well, I'm
reasonable
trying to keep
assessment,
my
yeah.
comments strictly to the information that was provided that we're about to
with the
release, and
legal
explaining
advice, yeah.
and explaining why I think that's relevant
Yep.
to being released
Okay.
along the lines of what Councillor Angus was talking about, so that the public understand why we're doing it.
Yep. CEO?
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Councillor, I think you're asking me the question about is section 30, the interpretation of section 39. The interpretation of section 39 is that it arises where there's a civil liability attaches to an act that would otherwise attach to the council. The matter at hand is not a civil liability. So it would be, what you're getting at there is the term of ultra vires. It's outside the powers.
Right.
Yep, okay, that's fine. Yep.
So in essence, even if we had supported this motion, the CEO wouldn't have been able to act on it anyway, so based on the legal advice that we're about to release.
It would be problematic to act on section 39, yes.
Yep. So that's all I wanted. Just wanted to make sure that it was clarified, Your Worship, because it was very confusing.
Yeah, no, fair point. I'll accept that. Any other comment? You can close. Oh, sorry, yeah.
I have a question.
Councillor
if I
Schilling,
may,
yes.
Mr Mayor.
Yep.
Through you, Mr Mayor, you can tell me if this question is not allowed, but I'm going to ask it anyway. And it's probably to the CEO in your dealings on this matter. Has there ever been a reason given by Councillor Priest as to why he hasn't complied with apologising on the matters involved in this legal matter?
It's not something I can comment on.
I thought so.
Yeah, no, there is other proceedings happening, so yeah, it's best that we let the process take care of the process. You wish to close the debate?
If I may, thank you, Mayor. I must confess, this was one of the most extraordinary requests I've ever seen on an agenda, as Councillor De Vries has alluded to. I'm pleased that common sense has prevailed and it's been withdrawn, because I think it wasn't going to go anywhere anyway. So yes, in the interests of transparency, we need to be showing our cards to the public. Otherwise, they're going to be left wondering, well, where does the council stand? I think we stand united that our views have not changed since the bad behaviour started.
With that, I'll put the motion you've put up there, that the legal advice circulated to council members and referred under the CEO's comments within the report 3.3.1 be tabled and attached to the public minutes in accordance with the regulations 8.4K and the local government procedures at the meetings, regulations 2013. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you. We'll move to the Mayor's report.
I have a question.
Yes, Councillor Schilling.
Oh, we have to wait for Councillor Priest. Yes, I just would like to know if you could give us some more information about the Stockwell Recreation Park and your meeting with the hockey club, because I sit on the Rec Park Committee and just would like to know how far advanced those discussions are and how that impacts the future of the second oval and that plan for that site.
I think the majority of the conversations was regarding some, what I would call some low-hanging fruit, but there's nothing low-hanging fruit anymore with additional lighting. They have, it's quite extraordinary to see the numbers that over 1,000 people there when there's games there. And I think it's really come back to the situation associated with the club rooms and their facilities. I would anticipate that when the budget goes out for consultation, there may be a submission to us. They're not looking for new club rooms tomorrow, but they just want something on the horizon. That'd be a fair assumption. Yep. So it was good. They presented extremely well, and they do understand that these things can't happen overnight. There's some planning that has to take place, and some concepts that need to be developed. But they understand that there is costs associated with it, and they've been working very diligently and have got a reasonable pool of funds to try to assist. But it won't be enough money to build club rooms, obviously.
Yeah, I'd like to move two motions. Seems that you're allowing motions out of order or not being done 7 days prior. Okay, there were two letters. One was sent by the Premier in regards to money being spent on an oval. I'd like that letter released because it's in the public interest that letter from the Premier is released. It is public interest. And also a letter that I moved a motion where you wrote a letter to the Premier in regards to building of a regional hospital. I'd like that letter released as well because that's in the interest of the public as well.
I'm not sure of this first letter you're talking about the ovals.
Don't know anything
It was a
about
letter from the Premier.
Through you, Mr Mayor. You're already dealing...
Would you like me to move
What?
that we receive the Mayor's report before we move on to the next one? I'll move that the report be received.
All those in favour? Carried.
That's Bruce to do.
The letter related to the hospital was still with the...
Confidential, absolutely confidential.
No, it's not.
No, it's not.
I thought it was.
No,
No.
none of those are confidential.
No, that resolution was passed in public and was written to the Premier, and the Premier wrote to the then Health Minister. There's nothing yet to table because I don't have a response. The other letter, I got no idea what you're talking about.
In regards to money spent on an oval.
If you can send it to me, then I can...
I'll chase it up and
I-
I'll bring it to
I won't take it as a notice.
Okay, no problem.
Just take- 5.1, Councillor Barrett report to Council, page 16.
Happy to move.
Moved Councillor Evans and seconded Councillor De Vries. Any comments? No. All good.
Say well done, Councillor Barrett.
Yep. All those in favour, the report be received. Carried. Matters for information, there's a number of items there with regard to matters for information. So nothing further, I'll move on to the debate reports. And 7.2.1 is the office closure of all staff mid-year event on page 57. Oh, Councillor Barrett.
So move the motion.
Moved Councillor Barrett, seconded Councillor Troop. Either one will speak to it?
No, staff got to be trained.
Yep. Thank you. Nothing further. All in favour? Carried. Seven point 2.2 is the AI policy on page 60. Councillor De Vries.
Yeah, I'm happy to move it and I'll have a couple of words once somebody seconds it.
Councillor Breeze.
I'll second the motion.
Moved Councillor De Vries, seconded Councillor Priest. Councillor De Vries.
Thank you, Your Worship. Yeah, I read this very carefully because, as I do all agenda items, because AI is obviously something that we're dealing with at the university a lot and is of great concern. I'm very pleased that we've included in there that staff remain responsible for the accuracy, legality, appropriateness and the final use of any work that includes AI assistance. We have to recognise it is an assistant and it's, I think, AI, if we allow it to adopt lazy behaviours, is very dangerous, as there was a recognition of the hallucinations. I've seen this firsthand and it can really screw you around. And I would recommend that we only use it as required and very cautiously, because often it can be a time waster rather than a time saver. Because it can lead you down the wrong paths and you can spend an enormous amount of time. I've seen actually instances where lawyers have been massively fined because it was creating bogus precedent examples, mucked around the courts for literally weeks and sometimes months, and angry judges have actually then billed the lawyers who've been using this. So the best example I've heard of this is treat it like a sous chef. It's very good for cutting up the vegetables, but not so good at coming up with the recipes. So I think that is vital, that whoever uses it recognises that, no, if you make a mistake, you don't get to say, oh, it's not my fault, AI did it. No, you drove the car, you crashed it, it's on you. Okay, so long as everybody's aware of that, I don't have an issue with us using AI, but it's used with extreme caution and it shouldn't be a way of just getting through the work quicker. So.
Only that it's a useful tool, but you've got to be very careful with it. What input you put into it is how it comes out.
Any further comments? All those in favour? Carried. (7.2.4) is the event sponsorship framework on page 89. Pardon?
Page 70.
Page 70.
Page 70.
7.2.3.
Oh, this one. Okay, sorry. Jumping over. 7.2.3, review of the knowledge management policy and knowledge management process for elected members, page 70. My apologies. Move Councillor Evans. Seconded Councillor Barrett. Either one wish to speak to it? Anything further? All those in favour? Carried. Now 7.2.4, event sponsorship framework on page 89. Councillor Schilling.
I have some questions, if I may, please, Mr Mayor. First of all, the event sponsorship guidelines look fantastic. Having sat on the CASC committee for a number of years, I just wonder, this isn't replacing CASC, I understand that, but what about the other requests that we have had that aren't event sponsorship? Like, for instance, a committee who wants an upgrade of a town hall kitchen or something like that. So how will that be managed in the future?
Yeah, I'll do that one. Thanks, Mr Mayor. Thanks, Councillor. That process really doesn't fundamentally change. That's what I would call a new initiative. So that would go through the normal processes.
Okay.
However, as you know, we are working on the community framework as well
Yep.
with the district action planning, which will further talk about those potential investments for the future.
Okay.
So there'll be and we are doing a reform piece of work also on trying to streamline new initiative work as well to make that a little bit simpler. But that has its own pathway. Yep.
And if I may ask another one, just because a lot of us work closely with some of these community groups that run these events, how will we know will we be advised who's applied, or how will elected members be made aware of that? And when will we know when that pool of money has been exhausted each year? Thank you.
Through the Mayor, thank you, Councillor Schilling. So the intent, as per the guidelines, is that the list of recipients will be shortlisted and assessed against the nominated criteria and then put to council to endorse the allocation of those funds. If there is funding that hasn't been allocated as part of the first wave, then we will look to take ad hoc request for sponsorship, which was actually a question from one of your colleagues in Councillor Barrett today as well. So the intention is that it is still available to activate and support those community groups outside of the traditional CASC model, with it not falling necessarily within the remit of the proposed scope of the new district action plans. So it will definitely be put to elected members, and you'll be aware of when they're released, how they're being assessed, and to endorse that final list.
Thanks, Mayor. Yes, on page 96 of the agenda, item 5, ineligible events. That would include any events promoting political, religious, gambling or tobacco interests. So if the Lutheran ladies want to hold a street fete, or we have gather round at the Barossa Park, I would consider both of those contain religious and gaming aspects. Gambling. Yes, not football gaming. You're right. I know. So, are we at odds with ourselves over this?
I'll have a crack at it, but I'll go to the CEO first. Over there. Okay.
Thank you. Through the Mayor, thank you for the question, Councillor Angus. These guidelines actually do follow our existing event management guidelines as well, in terms of the scope and the limitations around our internal event management framework, where those same activities were identified as being those that council would not necessarily support. That's a really, really good question in terms of the gambling. I guess there's always a level of interpretation and subjectivity in assessing events, opportunities for supporting and funding different community events. My personal view would be that consideration should be given to the direct promotion of those activities. So we wouldn't necessarily prohibit a group that is of a religious affiliation from undertaking an event if the event was for a purpose other than promoting their religious beliefs. In terms of gambling, and you make a good point around Gather Round and the AFL's activities, but they're third parties that are perhaps promoting or undertaking those activities as a result of the event that's being held, much like horse racing, etc. So we are very, very clear on not supporting tobacco-based advertising, both within our lease and licence framework, events framework and other frameworks as well. So similarly, we wouldn't prevent a political aspirant from hiring a facility to undertake their political activities, but we wouldn't necessarily sponsor or be seen to be sponsoring or providing an investment of funds into someone with political aspirations or an event of that nature. They could hire a facility, certainly, but we wouldn't necessarily fund it in terms of promoting it to the community, if that makes sense in terms of those determinations. But they're broad ineligibility guidelines, or ineligible guidelines, to be then extrapolated in terms of the direct benefit or the direct impact on the community and what we're promoting.
Happy to hear that there's some flexibility and interpretation involved.
Yep.
That's all I need. Thanks.
Alcohol's still on the list.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. I just wonder if one word would make it a little bit simpler as well for the community, and that's directly promoting.
Yeah.
Yes.
That makes sense.
Because definitely the religious groups are doing charity fundraising, so they're not actually promoting their faith to any degree other than in name only.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And that's just what I wanted
Yep.
to, through you, Mr Mayor, if I can,
just wanted to tease that out a little bit, because often there's often alongside religious organisations, there's non-for-profit arms, whether they be op shops that are providing food for the community. There's, welfare arms. There's also, I remember a long time ago I put in a grant for rock lock-in, a youth thing. I had absolutely zero funding, but I'm pretty sure I didn't get it because it was under the religious banner, and I didn't even talk. There was no religious content at all. So it would be interesting just to have that intent written into the policy, maybe somehow, because, when there's not, a lot of the churches they do not get any other funding anywhere. They cannot access anything from the government. So it would be really fantastic if we could have an open relationship with those people, as long as it's not, it's open to a mosque as much as it's open to a church, if that makes sense. So
We've just added that following amendments to that, an amendment following that into that recommendation. So that's what's before you. Councillor De Vries.
Yeah, I sort of assumed from that it was going to be direct, because otherwise even things like the RSL, you wouldn't be able to support them because there's a quasi-religious element to their services, for example, the dawn service. But I don't think it's promoting religion, is it? So.
Moved Councillor Schilling and seconded Councillor De Vries. Either one wish to speak to it?
No, I think we've done enough.
We've already done a bit of speaking.
Well done to the staff for bringing it forward.
Yep. Councillor De Vries, anything further?
No.
Nothing further. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Carried. 7.2.5 is the monthly financial report as of the 30th of April 2026. Moved Councillor De Vries, seconded Councillor Hearn. Either one wish to speak? Anything further? All those in favour? Carried. Seven point 2025-2026. The annual budget and business plan, Q3 budget review as of the 31st of March 2026 on page 104. Moved Councillor De Vries, seconded Councillor Troop. Either one wish to speak to it? Any further comment? All those in favour? Carried. Seven point 2.7 is the draft Work, Health and Safety Strategy 2026-2028 on page 134. Councillor Angus.
I have a question, Mayor.
Yes.
On page 143, responsibilities of elected members, we've left out our customers. What is our duty to them? Because we can really upset them when we need to, through no fault of our own, just by virtue of the fact that we have to follow an act, or we may have to follow the budget line, or we may have to refuse a legitimate request. But we've got to be kind to everyone, but our customers are excluded. So I just wondered if there's...
Does this deal with it just in the workplace?
Well, we're always at work as elected members.
Well, we are too. CEO.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I'll start that one. absolutely understand the intent, but obviously we do have some customer-focused policy and frameworks as well. This is very much focused on the work health and safety laws only.
Yeah.
So there is no duty under the Act of a customer under the work health and safety law.
Okay.
However, I will say again that there are obviously customer standards and customer charters for a multitude of things in the organisation as well. So, happy with that?
Yeah, no, thank you. I accept that. And if they're exempt, you know, be that good or bad or indifferent, then that's the way the way it is.
I guess the really easy way to think about it is a customer can't manage a work health and safety issue in the organisation. So they don't have a responsibility to me to make sure that I am safe. They sort of do under different law, but under this they don't.
This responsibility is effectively the buck stops with you type, or with us type statement, isn't it?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, this fundamentally actually reflects the WHS Act
Yeah.
and who's responsible for what.
So we're ultimately responsible, but we operate via you and
Correct.
the team. Yeah. Has this been moved or? I'm happy to move it.
Move Councillor Reeves, second Councillor Evans. Either one wish to speak to it?
Not particularly, no.
Anything further? All those in favour? Carried. There's no infrastructure and environmental service report. We'll move on to 7.4.1 is expression of interest sought for the nomination for an appointment to the Gawler River Flood Management Authority Audit and Risk Committee on page 149. With a recommendation there that we do not provide a nomination at this occasion unless someone's
Has
really,
to be from the members.
has to be from the members.
I thought about it for a nanosecond, Mayor, but I think I'll move the recommendation as it is.
Moved Councillor Angus and seconded Councillor Troop. I think you've already spoken to it, haven't you? Councillor Troop. Anything further? All those in favour? Carried. Seven 7.4.2 is the development application fees policy, page 160. With a recommendation there that be contained in attachment 1 and authorises the Chief Executive Office to approve and implement the final policy. Councillor Vrees, thank you. Moved. Councillor Hearn, second. Either one wish to speak to it? Anything further? All those in favour? Carried. 7.4.3 is the engineering requirements for Land Division Stage 2 consultation on page 167. Councillor Priest.
So moved.
Moved Councillor Priest. Seconded Councillor Barrett. Either one wish to speak? Councillor Barrett.
Yeah, very, very. I'd just like to thank staff for putting this together. I've learned a hell of a lot in reading this type of stuff, so thank you. Quite informative.
Anything further? All those in favour? Carried. We now move to our confidential items, and there is one with regard to the CEO's Performance Review 2026, as well as a Tour Down Under item for the 2027 year. Will someone... Oh, and also there's one for the septic tank removal and disposal of sludge tender. So they're the three items in confidence.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I've still to declare the annual conflict of interest. This matter relates to my employment contract conditions and remuneration. As per normal, I'll remain in the chamber prior to any debate to answer any questions on the reports. At that point, I'll leave the meeting.
Someone move we go into confidence. Councillor Hearn and seconded Councillor Evans. All those in favour, we go into confidence. It is carried. Thank you, gallery and staff. Oh, yeah, I do, don't I? Evans?
Hang on
all-
a tick.
Hang on.
Yep.
Okay.
Start again.
Move councillor Angus. Seconded councillor Evans that we move into confidence. All those in favour? Carried.
Go back in if you want to come. We're going to do one more of these.
Next item is our septic tank removal and disposal of sludge tender. And it's on the move that we go into confidence. Move councillor Breeze, second councillor Hurley.
I did have my monitor on.
Councillor Breeze, you second or move?
I'll second it, that's fine.
Okay. Move councillor Breeze, seconded councillor Priest, we go into confidence. All those in favour? Carried.
We squeezed that one out quickly, didn't we? I've got 4 more if you like them.
Councillors, that concludes our main meeting. Our next scheduled meeting is on June the 16th at 5:30. With that, I'll formally close the meeting. Thank you for your attendance.